So inevitably, when Pride Month begins and suddenly rainbows are everywhere, somebody asks, why the rainbow? Why the rainbow for Pride? Gaia Vince wrote in a 2020 BBC blog about the deep, rich, and long spiritual meaning throughout many different cultures of the rainbow. They wrote that for the Aboriginal people of North Queensland, Australia, the rainbow is this really brightly colored snake that appears to stop rain that has been made by their enemies. That rainbow serpent is a very important and powerful spirit throughout the Aboriginal Dreamtime culture, a culture that is thought to be the oldest continuous religious belief in the world, and is depicted in rock paintings dating back at least 10,000 years. So that means respect for the rainbow is thought to be the oldest continuous religious belief in the world. Why the rainbow? Gaia Vince continues, in some Indonesian societies, they see the rainbow as a bridge used by soul boats as they journey into the spiritual realm. So the rainbow is a link to the spiritual world. The rainbow is a link to knowledge and power of the spirit. In the Japanese myth, the rainbow is a floating bridge of heaven on which the creators of the world descend to create land from the oceans. So that rainbow is a bridge to creation and power. It's also a sign of royalty. Mayan cultures believe that the rainbow was actually a crown worn by Ixchel, the mother goddess. Armenians believe that it was the belt of Tyr, the sun god, and for the Cherokee, it was the hem of the sun's coat. This one I thought was fascinating. Bulgarian legend has it that walking under a rainbow causes someone to change genders. So, the rainbow has a direct connection to gender diversity and fluidity, and that's one reason I love that in the Bible, the rainbow is a sign of God's love for the entire world. So, what is the rainbow's direct connection to the LGBTQIA+ community? There's several, and one of the most legendary, and also probably it's one of those stories that becomes truer and truer over time, is the connection to the rainbow that was sung about in 1939 by Judy Garland in The Wizard of Oz. Somewhere over the rainbow, a wonderful song of yearning for a better place. When Judy Garland first sang that in 1939, and then in the decades following, 39, 49, 59, 69, this song touched the hearts of so many young LGBTQIA+ people when your very existence is illegal. When being true to who you are, you risked arrest, you risked the loss of your jobs, you risked beatings, you risked death, at a time when you could be imprisoned for being LGBTQ, at a time when you could be forcibly hospitalized and lobotomized. You were forced to hide who you were. This song captured and resonated with that longing for a gentler, more beautiful place. And I can say that as a young child who every night from 8th grade until freshman in college I would go to bed at night praying that I would not wake up in the morning because I did not want to be who I was because I was told that God hated me. And so listen to these words, the beginning of Somewhere Over the Rainbow. When all the world is a hopeless jumble and the raindrops tumble all around, heaven opens a magic lane. When all the colors close up the skyway, there's a rainbow highway to be found, leading to your window pane, to a place beyond the sun, just a step beyond the rain. And I'm thinking we gotta sing together.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Let's go. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, the skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up there the clouds are far behind me. When troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops, that's where you'll find me. Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly. Birds fly over the rainbow, wide and wide can't hide. If happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow, why, oh, why can't I? This song led Judy Garland to become a beloved icon for the LGBTQIA+ community. And it was on the night of her funeral, where earlier in the day in New York City, 21,000 people gathered to mourn her death. That night, as the 27th turned into the early morning hours of the 28th, was the first night of the Stonewall riots, the beginning of the gay liberation movement. In 2019, Time magazine interviewed the great trans activist Sylvia Rivera, one of the original trans persons on the front lines that night when the bar was raided, the Stonewall bar was raided, and folks said, enough is enough. This happens every night. We're arrested every night. Tonight, we will not be arrested. In that interview, trans activist Sylvia Rivera heard about the funeral of Judy Garland, and she says, I became completely hysterical. She said, it was the end of an era. The greatest singer, the greatest actress of my childhood is no more. Never again over the rainbow. Sobbing, she continued, saying that there was no one left to look up to. On that day, friends invited her to go and be with community at the Stonewall Inn, and the riots began. Over the Rainbow is connected to Stonewall, and it in part inspired the first pride flag that was created by Gilbert Baker. And Gilbert also says, yes, somewhere the rainbow, but you know what? Actually, even more influential was the Rolling Stones. She's a rainbow. Like I said, the story took on meaning over time. It was 1976, says Gilbert Baker, when he first started to think about the idea of a flag for the LGBT liberation movement. It was 1776, Some of us remember flags. American flags were everywhere because we were celebrating the bicentennial. And he thought, we need a flag for our community. And then Harvey Milk in 1978 asked him to make a flag for the symbol of the gay community in San Francisco. And the first original Gilbert Baker Pride flag was created, sewed by hand by Gilbert Baker. Shortly after that celebration, Harvey Milk was assassinated, and the rainbow flag left San Francisco and began to become a symbol of the gay liberation movement throughout the country. The original flag had 8 different colors: hot pink to symbolize sex, red symbolizing life, orange symbolizing healing, yellow symbolizing sunlight, which meant not hiding, but being out in the open of the day, being who you were and being alive. Green to symbolize the connection to nature, turquoise representing magic and art, indigo representing serenity, and violet, which they said represented the spirit, the collective spirit of the LGBTQIA+ community. There was so much demand for this flag after Harvey Milk was assassinated, but there was a problem. It was hard to find hot pink fabric. And remember, they were sewing these flags by hand. And so the next year for Pride, hot pink disappeared because they just couldn't find it. And now we were down to 7 colors. Oh, we want that pink back. The following year, it changed again because they decided they wanted to hang the flag on either sides of street lights. But 7 was an odd number, so the flag would suddenly be 4 on one side, 3 on the other. So they dropped out another color, and what we have now is the Pride flag that from the end of the 70s for decades is the Pride flag that so many of us knew. This is the flag that I came out to back in the mid-80s. Red is for life, orange is for healing, yellow is for that sunshine and standing proudly and openly as who you are. Green is for nature, indigo is serenity, and violet is the collective spirit of the LGBTQ people. But the story does not stop there, and Rachel is going to pick up that story.
Hello. Reverend Tim told us about the origin of the Pride flag and its meaning. However, over time, people realized that the flag didn't truly show all the different people and identities within the LGBTQIA community, especially Black and brown people, transgender people, and intersex people. So in 2018, the Progress Pride flag was created. The Progress flag still has the traditional rainbow stripes, but it also includes colors in a shape that looks like an arrow pointing forward. This arrow reminds us that we still have work to do, that we are always moving forward towards justice, love, and inclusion. Let's talk about the added colors. They often represent multiple meanings. The Black and brown stripes represent people of color in the LGBTQ+ community. They remind us that racism and queerphobia often overlap, and we must fight both. The black stripe also represents the lives lost during AIDS and HIV, as well as additional identities within the LGBTQIA community. The light blue, pink, and white stripes comes from the transgender flag. These colors represent people whose gender identity doesn't match the sex they were assigned at birth. These stripes are a reminder to support and protect our trans siblings. Most recently, a yellow triangle with a purple circle was added to represent intersex people. Intersex is a term for people born with bodies that don't fit typical definitions of male or female. This could include differences in chromosomes, hormones, or anatomy. The intersex symbol, yellow with a purple circle, is important because it rejects the idea that everyone has to fit into either male or female. The circle is unbroken, showing wholeness, and reminds us that intersex people are complete just as they are. Yellow was chosen because it's often a gender-neutral color, and purple has long been used to show a mix of male and female, or a place in between. This group of folks in our community is something I've wanted to learn more about. An essential part of being an ally and an advocate is knowing when to educate yourself on how to be better to the people around you. I will share a little bit about what I've learned, especially for intersex people, and why they need and want our advocacy. What does intersex mean? Intersex people are born with physical traits, such as chromosomes, hormones, or anatomy, that don't fit the typical definitions of male or female. Being intersex isn't a medical issue, it's a natural variation within the spectrum of human diversity. You might be surprised to learn that intersex people are not rare. Around 1.7 of the global population is intersex, roughly the same percentage of people who have red hair. If you include individuals whose intersex traits emerge later in life or are less physical and less visible, that number could be as high as 2 out of 100. This means you likely know someone who's intersex, even if you don't realize it. Some of us here today may identify as intersex. Unfortunately, many intersex individuals have experienced harm, particularly when irreversible medical decisions were made about their bodies without their consent. For decades, surgeries were performed on intersex infants or young children to make their bodies conform to the binary ideas of male or female. Today, many intersex adults are speaking out about how deeply painful and unnecessary these procedures were. By including the intersex symbol on the Progress Pride flag, the LGBTQ+ community sends a clear message. We see you, we hear you, and your body and your identity are valid. And here in our Unitarian Universalist community, we believe in the worthiness and dignity of every person. We work for a world where everyone can be themselves openly, safely, and joyfully. The Progress flag is one way we show that love in action. It's more than just a flag, it's a promise to keep learning, growing, and making room for everyone at the table. The Progress Pride flag is just one of the many symbols that celebrate the beautiful diversity of the LGBTQIA community. To help us explore some of the other flags and what they represent, I'd like to welcome Kyle to share more with us. Kyle.
Hello again. When I first came out, one of the biggest things for me was labels. That moment when you came across a term for a feeling you've had your whole life that you thought was weird and it could only be happening to you and nobody else, and you go, that's me. But there couldn't possibly be more people like me, could there? The Human Rights Campaign lists 25 different pride flags, but they need to spend more time on the internet because I know there's a lot more. Two of the many flags that I fall under are the trans and non-binary flags. The trans flag was designed by a trans woman named Monica Helms in 1999. She was inspired by the creation of the bisexual flag the year before by her friend, Michael Page. The blue stripes represent the color often associated with baby boys. The pink, the traditional color for girls, and white in the middle for those who are intersex, transitioning, or are undefined. Under the trans umbrella, there is also the non-binary flag. It was designed by Kai Rowan in 2014 for people like me. The yellow stripe is for outside the gender binary. The white stripe is for people of multiple genders. The purple stripe, my favorite color, is for people who are a blend of male and female. And the black stripe is for agender people, who are people who don't identify with any gender whatsoever. When I first came to this church and saw that non-binary flag hanging out front, I knew this was a place that I could at least walk in the front door of. Believe me, those are a lot rarer than you'd think. But it quickly became more than that. It became a place where I could be myself, embody myself, look how I want, be how I want, have whatever hair color I want, paint my nails, wear my skirt without fear, wear my silly clown makeup, have my tattoos and my piercings and carry my stories in my body. A place where my passion for social justice wasn't dismissed as naive or idealistic. A place where I could be silly. A place where not only did people listen to the things that I thought and felt, but also I heard them come out of the mouths of others. But also a place where I was challenged to grow past my self-imposed limitations, from thinking, I can't do this, who am I to volunteer? Surely there's somebody else who could do it, to putting myself in situations where I could stretch my wings and fly. It became a place where I recognize myself, not only in the people around me, but within myself, within the mirror. This is me.